I kid you not, this is at least the dozenth time that I've done this tutorial. So, what we're making is an expanding and retracting circle, except, yeah. So, this one is a simpler one than the one I'm going to show you, but other than the only difference is that it's a wide circle. So, right here, I have this spot set up where I have these squares, which both have unique group IDs as their own, linked to these circles, which all have their own unique IDs. And what happens is that this square will go to one of these two circles in the center, and then which is what this move trigger does on a target position group ID. And the second set will have this square go back when it's at the center, it'll have it go back to this. So it looks something like this. Now, one thing you need to know about start position, use target position, is that it does not like you using more than one object at all. So if if I were to say I want to use more than one square, it's just gonna not work, which is unfortunate because I don't even think RobTop had his reasons. It gets buggy. He probably pushed it out really fast, but it does not work. So we're kind of stuck with using individual group IDs for each one of these. So essentially the difference between this circle and this circle that I made is that it does not have these 2 points where it has it retract. So all it has is, or expand. So all it does is retract, but it doesn't expand because it does not have those other points to go back to. Now, what we're going to do here is copy and paste a circle. So we're going to make, this circle is going to be relatively small, but because I just don't feel like making this tutorial for like the millionth time. So before we copy and paste a circle, before I just highly recommended, no, it's a mandatory thing that you should copy and paste the triggers first. Otherwise, you're going to get the groups jumbled up here. So once you have groups triggered, copy and paste this circle and then grab those triggers down there that you copy and pasted in build helper. If you don't know what build helper does, essentially the way it works is that you have an object that you move. So we're going to give this its own unique ID. We're going to make it move somewhere, and this is what it does. That's 277. Oh yeah, forgot. We're going to make this object move, right? Well, I want to make that object move again, but in a different direction. So the fastest way to, oops, instead of just like selecting the move trigger, moving it up one, and then making it a new group ID, I can just use build helper and it'll be faster that way. This is a horrible example, but this gets the message across just fine. If I want to do the same thing, I put it somewhere else in the level, build helper, it'll do the same thing. Now, what build helper will do in this case is it'll do basically the dirty work we don't want to do. It adds new groups to each circle we make. And what it does is it gives it new groups, and like how we set it up previously, we have one square moving to the center point and then back. And what it does is it basically adds new groups and rewires it to work the way we intended it to work. So now it looks something like that. Group helper, I mean, build helper is like the best thing in the game right now. You cannot tell me that build helper does nothing. It's like I use it quite frequently depending on what I'm making. Sometimes I make an effect that doesn't require a build helper at all, and some effects like this one, it's gonna oops, it's gonna require you to like copy and paste stuff and then make new groups out of it, which completely sucks balls. I'm just gonna be honest. You don't want to rewire the groups yourself at all. So now that we have this circle that expands and retracts, I would just, like I said before, it sucks that you can't really have group IDs, more than one group move to a target ID, which I wish you could. So what we're going to do here is, let's say that this is your background. It's blue. I'm going to make these objects blend in with the background, but for now I'm going to keep them white so that I can see what I'm doing. So what we're going to do with these ones is give them their own unique group ID. I forgot to mention, this effect takes up a lot of objects. Like, I'm not kidding when I say the amount It takes up a lot of group IDs, not objects. It's rather optimized for an object-heavy thing, but it's not optimized in a group standpoint. This circle effect uses 96 different groups. I kid you not when I say that each individual object that you select is its own group ID. So this circle effect has 256 objects just to have it expand retract. This one has only 96, which is good, I guess, but still, that's a lot. Now, what I'm going to do with these sides is I'm going to give them their own group IDs so that I can make them move. So I already forgot which one this one, 361. So takes a little bit of trial and error, but best way is just to move it towards the center and have it like at least half a block apart from it. So that was 3. We're going to move it 3 over with the exponential out, and then we're going to move it 3 back. And then same thing over here, 362, except flip them. And now I'm going to flip these for the sake of it. Now we have something like this. Nope. Alright, so when that happens, I just recommend like half a step more. You like want very minimal space between the circle and those. So add about like that. Make sure it doesn't go inside the circle when it retracts or expands. So that'll just like avoid problems, visual problems that you might encounter. Now with these ones, we're going to give them their own ones. Now, like I said before, you're going to want to, if you're going to make this a background, which the chances of you doing that is very high since this is a background thing, this isn't a foreground or any other ground thing, you're going to definitely want to expand these side things to the edges of your screen, but I'm not going to be doing that. So once you have that, and you give those their own group IDs, you're going to do more or less the same thing because honestly, it's a circle. Any point from each edge is going to be the same. So you can just really you can just I could just flip this. If you measure it out right the first time, you shouldn't really have any problems with move length. So now that that's out of the way, that's what I have. Now you'll notice that we still have these corners to fill in. Those require you to do the same process, except flip them and then measure out how far you need to move them from the center, but I'm not going to do that. Now, this is essentially the same thing as this bigger circle, except I started with a much wider, crap, I can't find the word. I started a much wider length from the circle, from the center, so I get this bigger circle to start with, and these things on these edges are what will cover it. Now, like I said before, I'm gonna make this the same color as the background to show you what it can do. Oop, how much time do I have left? Oh, okay, I have a lot. So I'm gonna make this circle. Okay. Adios. Cierra la puerta. Don't you just love it when your own mom interrupts you in your tutorial? Yeah, couldn't be me, right? So, we're gonna make this white, and then we're gonna turn this circle white. If you have any questions about this circle, please ask, because I'm sure I forgot to explain something. I know I did not explain all of it for a fact. So, yeah, please leave a comment if something doesn't make sense or I skimmed over something and forgot to include it. Yeah, I'm gonna make this one block more just to be safe. I lost my train of thought because of that. So give me a second to think, I guess. So what I'm gonna do is put these on a background color. which, if you don't know, putting anything on a background color with a blank background is going to make it invisible essentially because right now you can't really see the circle other than here. So what we're going to do is, oop, wrong spot. This is what it looks like more or less. I forgot to mention that you're going to want to put these on, you're going to want to put your center IDs and target position IDs on invisible because nobody wants to see that really unless you find a design use for it. Now, I'm the idiot that forgot to put 1 as my alpha trigger, so I'm putting 365 as my alpha. So this is more or less what you get for that one. Now, for the expanding and retracting one, you will get something a little different. Now, of course, I'd recommend expanding the borders to the edges of your screen when you do this, but well, realistically, if you're going to do it simple like this, you don't even need to expand it to the edges of your screen, except in this case you might. So I'm gonna be super optimized and just do this. So this is more or less how you make the circle effect, where it expands and retracts. You're gonna want to have multiple positions on multiple spots and areas where you want them to move so that they can expand and retract to. Use target as your friend and so is build helper. Without build helper, you're gonna die. Now, in some cases, well, in the cases that I've used it for 2 transitions in my new level. One being here, which all it is these things moving inside, and then the circle moving in, which um, the way I did it was I had my centerpieces not in the center and a few blocks apart, and then I started copy and pasting from there into a circle, and then I had these things move in along with this under everything, so it gives it a little bit more pizzazz, I guess. And for the second transition, the way I had it is, ooh, follow player, is this came down and then this expanded. Now I have this set up where it expands and it retracts. I have, why does this have to be the same layer as my glow? The way I have this planet effect set up is it can expand and retract, but as of right now, I don't think I'm gonna, oopsies, I don't want that to rotate. I'm not gonna have it expand or retract because this drop, I am very unsure how I'm gonna build this drop, so uh, for the most part, it's just gonna be expanded. I have no reason for it to retract, so I'm probably gonna delete those IDs so that I can have some more IDs to use, but I kind of don't need them. So I could see myself like reusing the same effect over and over throughout this part, so yeah. I don't know why this turned into a group build thing. But yeah, that's one instance I used it. In another instance, I used it in the end screen of the edible level, which I will sh for sure show you right here. Now, I can't just. Oh, shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, for some reason, it kicks me off when I put a start position this far in the level, so I have to put it all the way back to where this UFO is. Nope. And I forgot to put it on the triple. Yeah, for some reason, it just does not like it when I put it that far. So yeah. One thing to know. Well, actually, I don't even know if there's anything more I can talk about. I'm just babbling at this point. You've seen it in Aired's level. I forgot what it was called. It was Good Thing. It uses it quite frequently, but it uses the same circle and might use two because, like I said, it's very group heavy. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. And honestly, do what you want. If you can use whatever you want in it, you want with it, but I advise that you use it very sparingly and very rarely in your level because, yeah, you already know what I'm about to say. So there's that. And yeah, time's up, so bye.